I'd like to call the Gurnee Village Board regular meeting of February 1st, 2021 to order. Roll call, please. Donna?
Ross. Here. Garner.
Here.
O'Brien.
Present.
Thomas.
Present.
Hood.
Here.
Thorstensen.
Here.
All present.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, first item is approval of the consent agenda as presented. Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Garner. Roll call, please.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
All ayes.
All right, motion carries. Patrick, please read the consent agenda into the record.
Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the January 25th, 2021 meeting. Item number 2, approval of resolution 2021-01, reallocating 2021 volume cap to the Village of Buffalo Grove, Illinois. Item number 3, approval of setting a bid date of February 25th, 2021 for Public Works and Village Hall janitorial services. Item number 4, approval of bills for period ending February 1st, 2021 in the amount of $59,271.62.
Thank you, Patrick. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda as read into the
So
record?
moved.
Motion by trustee Garner.
Second.
Second by trustee O'Brien. Roll call, please.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thorstensen. All ayes.
Motion carries. We'll move on to petitions and communications, and I just forgot to say, outstanding job, Heather, with the snow removal this weekend. I'm sure you're a little weary. Please share with Jake and the whole team.
Thank you.
The roads looked gorgeous. I know they put in a lot of work. I heard them out there often, but I thought it went very, very smooth. So you did good on your first rodeo. Our first item under petitions and communications is the proclamation of African American History Month for February 2021. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee O'Brien, second by trustee Thorstensen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, African American History Month, and hopefully Gurnee grade 56 will be putting on a program, even if it's virtually this year. I always enjoy it and we learn a lot. And maybe our Black Student Union, too, will put something on virtually. So we'll have to watch for that. Next up is approval of a proclamation for designating February 14th through the 20th, 2021 as Future Business Leaders of America Phi Beta Lambda Week in the Village of Gurnee. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Thorstensen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. It is Future Business Leaders of America Week. That brings us up to reports. So our weary acting Public Works Director, Heather, is going to walk us through the 2020 All Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan, the progress report.
Hopefully I don't look weary. Okay, here we go. Well, good evening, everyone. This presentation serves as our annual public notification to the public and to the board regarding the All Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan and the steps that we've taken over the past year. So, what is it? As the plan name suggests, it's a plan that identifies all the natural hazards. It assesses the vulnerabilities that we have living in this region, determines how to minimize or eliminate those risks, and it also sets goals. And the reason it's necessary, obviously it helps prepare us in the event of those natural hazards, but it's also required if we're going to use grant funding. Those are 3 of the grants that we typically get in some form or fashion in order to do our voluntary floodplain buyout program. In the plan, you'll see this summary of impacts on natural hazards. So it covers every hazard that this group put together for the whole of Lake County. And the area I highlight here is pretty much within, I'd say, I don't know, the last 10 years in some form or fashion. For planned maintenance, we review this annually. We review the plan, we review the hazards that we've encountered. We also review the different action items. There is a county-wide meeting that takes place annually where the overarching plan is evaluated and updates are recommended. But because of COVID, this meeting is going to be held virtually this year, and after checking in with SMC, it looks like it's going to take place sometime next month. Now, the county-wide plan gets updated every 5 years and adopted by FEMA, or submitted to and approved by FEMA. So the next update is 2022. We're still acting under our current plan, which is from 2017. So as I just mentioned, the plan was adopted in June of 2017. Here at our village board, it was adopted October 9th. If you really want to go read it, there's the web link. But you can find it in our transparency portal if you want to search on our website. Some of the items that we do to keep in line with the plan is to enforce our watershed development ordinance, the WDO, and the NFIP requirements for the National Flood Insurance Program. We also focus on improving communication. That's always one of the big things. So we rely heavily on our communications team here at the Village Hall, and they do a great job of getting information out with respect to letters, pamphlets. The Keeping Posted newsletter will usually say something about flooding, and I think it's in the spring. We also maintain materials on our website, and the communication team uses platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, Nextdoor, and CTY reverse 911 calls as needed. So this helps educate the residents about proper insurance and ways to protect themselves and their property from flooding. We also try to keep alternate power sources for critical facilities in the forefront of our mind. This past year, we put a generator at Northwestern, and we try to evaluate yearly if we can find a place where an additional backup generator would be helpful. We also maintain our Tree City USA designation, which by having an urban forestry plan helps mitigate when big windstorms and such come through town. There's less drop down when you maintain your trees well. We also keep our building codes as up to date as possible. Right now we're still operating under 2012, but we have adopted the 2018 energy code. And finally, we continue to look at reducing inflow and infiltration into the sanitary sewers to help prevent sanitary sewer backups into basements. Unfortunately, we had to scale back on the sewer cleaning program this past year because of funding from COVID, but we're ready to get that ramped up as soon as the funds are available again. And Public Works continues to rot out sewers as needed if that's an issue. The next action item that we are quite familiar with is flood mitigation. Here we utilize grant funding and very helpful staff at the Lake County Stormwater Management Commission to apply for and obtain grant funding to remove homes from the floodplain through the voluntary program. I think we had 44 properties when the report was generated back in 1999 or 2000. Now we're closer to 20, and those are still the priority streets. Here's a map that helps. So this year, the 3 properties with the arrows are what we've been acquiring and likely will be demolished in the springtime. And then the new one down there at the bottom in blue is when the owner approached us to purchase. So we took advantage of that this past year. Additional action items are drainage improvements. We have a culvert at Waveland that we put off from last year. We're going to be doing it this next year. And then when it comes to the National Flood Insurance Rate Program, the community rating system, we still exceed the minimum requirements and have maintained our Class 6 rating, which saves our residents anywhere between 10 and 20% on flood insurance premiums. That also helps us save money since we have facilities in the floodplain as well. We also continue to maintain our storm-ready classification and train our employees on NIMS training, or the National Incident Management System. With that, I'll open it up for any questions.
Any questions? Thank you. I know this is not something that we deal with, but when it happens, we have a plan, and it's been practiced, and everybody knows what they're going to do, and that we're doing what we can to mitigate it. We've been very fortunate not to have, other than the flooding and the tree thing from 2011, but it could happen. We see it all over, and we're certainly seeing the impacts of climate change all across the nation, so that could get here too. All right, thank you, Heather, very much. All right, that was our only report tonight. Do we have any old business?
No.
All right, then we're going to move on to new business, which is approval of ordinance 2021-04,
04?
granting a special use permit pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance to allow exceptions from the zoning ordinance vehicle dealership use standards, lighting standards, landscaping standards, and design build material standards on property located at 5589 North Ridge Drive, to be known as the Anthony Buick GMC. Who's walking us through it?
Sure. I'll give you a brief summary here, and then David's here, and then obviously Mr. Blum, the petitioner, is here as well. You can answer any questions the board may have. So the first two items on our new business both relate to the same parcel. You had a memo from our associate planner, Clara Gable, on this. You'll remember the last meeting in December, the dealership was before the village board and was approved by the village board, but there were a couple loose ends that needed to be tied up that were going back to the planning and zoning board. So those loose ends related to lighting, landscaping, and building material. They were originally before the PZB on December 2nd, and that was continued until January 6th. The special use permit requests, as it relates to lighting standards, the PZB was concerned about some of the height of the lighting poles on the south end of the property closer to the residential, and then the lack of shields on those. Petitioner came back with a revised lighting plan, reduced the height of all parking lot fixtures on the southern 190 feet of the property, so almost the southern quarter of the property towards the residential, from 25 feet to 15 feet, and in addition, installed backside shields on all the fixtures that were on the perimeter of the property. As it relates to landscaping, the PZB had concerns just about the amount of landscaping that was proposed. They were looking for something in between what was originally proposed and what was required by the zoning ordinance. Again, petitioner came back with a revised landscaping plan with additional material along North Ridge Drive frontage and interior to the site. In addition, the trees in the southern buffer yard, they changed those from a mix of evergreen and shade trees to all evergreens and added 19 additional trees in that area to help with the buffer between the property and the residential to the south. As relates to design build standards, the west wall of the facility, the PZB wanted to see that kind of spruced up a little bit, looking for some different change in materials, colors, textures. Came back with a revised plan that western elevation, they ordered or added an accent band with some split face block and architectural concrete panel. The horizontal band will be a different color and texture from the rest of that wall, and then they also added some lighting in there, or some windows, excuse me, along that accent band. So as it relates to the special use permit request, that are the first item here under new business that received a 7-0 unanimous recommendation from the PZB. The next item is variance that relates to the foot candles. Anything over 50-foot candles requires a variance per our code. Anthony has a maximum of 84-foot candles, which is comparable to other car dealerships in town. That request received a 6-1 favorable recommendation from the PZB. There was one resident in attendance at the PZB meeting that just expressed concerns over the lighting levels and requested that they just, what is approved, what is allowed out there falls within the code. So that was the only comment from the public at the PZB meeting.
Okay. Any questions from the trustees? Trustee Thorstensen?
I've been hearing some communication, getting more updates from the office, greatly appreciate it. The last one I sent in about 5:30 tonight, so I was working late, I don't know if you guys saw that. But it works on, I'm fine with number 1, it's number 2, and the question is, it appears by reading the PZB and resident comments that the perception is that the duration of the lights
but what I'm wondering is will the lighting for the Anthony dealership, will it be an automatic on-off an hour after the site closes?
We have the petitioner, or Mr., just introduce yourself again.
I'm Jerry Mortier, an architect with the Redmond Company. The lighting is controlled by a lighting control panel, being LEDs. It's basically computerized. All the fixtures can be individually dimmed, and everything's automated with regards to lighting.
The reason why I asked that is I would think some of the time that you're closing down at night, when whatever the time was, I did research again, that instead of waiting a full hour to shut off the light, are you able to, if you exit the facility all at close time, are you able to turn the light?
There are overrides that are provided within it. It's pretty simple to do a quick override of the lighting control panel. So operationally, if the decision is made to turn them off sooner, because the dealership is vacant, it can be done.
So my point is that you're done and you have no reason to keep the lights on for another hour. Is there, can you consider when that override, so how, again, I agree with that. The other question is about the fence, and that's really an internal question, I think, for our staff. I'm just, I know that I am the person that drives through Dunkin' parking lot, and when they have a bazillion potholes, then we get a complaint to the business association, who then does some sort of repair. And I was just wondering, what is that process for the residents to assert a complaint against the business association that's not maintaining their fence? Is it the same process, or do we have?
Yes, so it is the same process. You can always approach the village. The village has the contact information for the Business Owners Association. This one is set up differently. This Business Owners Association is set up differently from the one that you referred to over at the Dunkin'. That one is every owner is responsible for their little corner of that drive aisle, and there's really no Business Owners Association really to speak of. It's not an active Business Owners Association. On the other hand, this one is a professional Business Owners Association. It's been managed by the former owner of this site, who still has property in this subdivision, and I anticipate will still be, if not the president of the BOA, will be actively participating in it. So we'll still have that communication with them and be able to remedy any issues that we find out there.
So would, and I appreciate that, thank you. So then it sounds like it's still reactive, right? So the residents are going to react or send a complaint, or the businesses aren't getting just what they want, so they want from the association. So there's no proactive reviews of compliance or up to any certain standard.
Yeah, most of our code enforcement is reactive. We do have some projects, things we'll go out and actively look at proactively. One, for instance, was house numbers. We did that project a couple of years ago. But most of it is a reaction-based code enforcement.
I'm just bringing this to light because obviously all the residents south of the property are concerned because it's going from vacant land to being built out. And while there was an adjustment period of learning how to live with a new neighbor, it seems like it would be a great time for this business association to upgrade their entire fence rather than one piece of wood at a time. So I was just wondering how we go about suggesting that.
We can make that suggestion, absolutely.
All right, other questions on the first item, which is the special use permit? Everyone's all right with it? Do I have a motion to approve?
Make a motion.
Motion by trustee Garner, second by trustee Balmas. Roll call, please.
Ross?
Aye.
Garner?
Aye.
O'Brien?
Aye.
Thomas? Aye. Hood?
Yes.
Thorstensen? All ayes.
All right, motion carries. Congratulations. Item number 2, approval of ordinance 2021-05, granting a variation pursuant to the Gurnee zoning ordinance to allow lighting levels interior to a vehicle dealership located at 5589 Northridge Drive to be in excess of 50-foot candles. So as Patrick explained, our ordinance is 50-foot, and they're asking for 84?
Correct.
But 84 is what we've allowed at other
84
dealerships?
is consistent with other dealerships.
Questions?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee O'Brien. Roll call, please.
Ross?
Aye.
Garner?
Aye.
O'Brien?
Aye.
Thomas? Aye. Hood?
Yes.
Thorstensen? All ayes.
All right, motion carries. Congratulations. We're excited for your new location, and I look forward to the grand opening. I know, it was a long process, but you did good with all your compromises and working all the different aspects of it. It's an important piece of property, very visible, so I'm glad you took the time and staff took the time to get it right. All right. Okay, we're up to item number 3, which is approval of ordinance 2021-06, authorizing a professional services agreement with Baxter and Woodman to complete a water system risk and resilience assessment.
Sure. So you had a memo from our acting public works director, village engineer, Heather Galan. The America's Water Infrastructure Act requires all community water systems serving over 3,300 people to complete a risk and resilience assessment as well as a emergency response plan. We have until June 30th, 2021 to get that completed and submitted to the EPA. We looked into what it would take to complete this in-house, and it is beyond what we have as far as the scope of what's required. So we reached out to a couple different firms that are completing this for other communities. Received 3 quotes. They range from $28,400 to over $40,000. Baxter and Woodman was the lowest bid. We've worked with Baxter and Woodman a lot over the years on our water system, so they've got a pretty good handle on it. They've also stated that they are able to get this completed by the time frame and then follow up and get the emergency response plan completed 6 months after the RRA as well. So received the agreement from them. Attorney Winter took a look through it. It's their standard agreement. Again, I've worked with them in the past and have been happy with the services they provided, so we'd like to move forward with them to get this completed by that June 30th deadline.
Thank you. And just for the record, the risk and resilience is not anything to do with the water, the quality of water. This is our distribution system, being able to distribute water if something, okay.
Correct.
Just, because I know there's risk to the quality of water, but that's something separate. All right, trustee O'Brien?
I just wanted to compliment how comprehensive their work is going to be. I mean, they're even looking at cybersecurity. It's just fantastic. Not fantastic, but cybersecurity and threats from outside sources and all kinds of stuff, which could disrupt our water supply. Good job.
Move to approve.
I have a motion to
Second.
approve from trustee Ross, second by trustee O'Brien. Roll call, please.
Ross?
Aye.
Garner?
Aye.
O'Brien?
Aye.
Thomas? Aye. Hood?
Yes.
Thorstensen?
Yes.
All ayes.
All right, motion carries. It's the end of new business, so I'll open the floor to public comment. If anybody'd like to come to the microphone and state your name and address the board. Okay, you're up.
Hello, my name is Bishoy. I currently own the 1188 US Highway 41 gas station. I'm coming here because our revenues has dropped dramatically, and I was hoping to increase it by adding a liquor license and video gaming. The reason why I bring that up is because we're in a disadvantage. We have gas stations that are up north that have the liquor and have gaming. We have a mile south, Waukegan has liquor and gaming, and we just needed something to help us increase our revenue.
Wait, when you say gas station on 41, are you the Citgo at Delaney in 41?
Yeah, it was a Citgo. We actually converted it to a mobile in 2019.
Oh,
We did a lot of renovations. We pulled out a lot of loans.
yes, I know.
Yeah, and after that, and then COVID hit, and then our sales plummet, and now we need something to help us to increase
Yeah.
our sales. After
I
all
know-
those-
I appreciate that, and I know everyone's driving less, buying less gas. That would be a pretty major decision, because we can't just allow it in one station, we'd have to allow it in all of them. And video gambling specifically is something that we've, as a board, have been against, and we've always had a very tight control on liquor licenses. But your desire is noted, and it could always be brought up for consideration if there's, we felt that it was advantageous to the village to open up more liquor in more locations. So I appreciate your struggling. We've heard that from a lot of businesses. Everybody's business is down.
Yeah, no, I understand. It's just the major concern was, like, we're in a disadvantage. We have literally gas stations up north, not even a mile, that has liquor. That's also on the Gurnee. It's in the Gurnee state, but it's on the Lake County borderline, so they're allowed to have it. And then you have gas stations up south that has liquor as well. We're right in the middle, so they're able to still create more revenue while we're stuck here and not able to grow. That's the major concern that we have.
I appreciate that, and it's noted, and it'll go on the record.
All right, thank you.
So thank you. Okay, if there's no other public comment, do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion from trustee Balmas. Second from trustee Garner. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.